Hi everyone, Grant for the Flame Learning channel. One common task that we do every day as compositors is image cleanup. So you need to remove something whether it was intentional or not. So in this video, you'll learn how to clean up your shots using a combination of 3D tracking and projection. Please bear in mind that these techniques can be used to add objects into the shot. So you'll start off with looking at the shot and creating a clean frame. Next, you'll analyze the camera movement for the 3D track. And finally, you'll produce the cleaned up shot by projecting the clean frame either over a flat 3D shape or 3D geometry generated by the point cloud. So here you have a shot of a castle where you need to remove all these people off the street. Now you can perform the 3D track before making a clean plate. However, doing those steps in reverse will minimize the need to bounce back and forth between the tools. So with the source clip loaded in batch, drag out a paint node and connect the shot as the red input. Now you can choose any frame to be your clean frame, but I suggest finding a frame that shows as much of that region as possible with the most detail. So let's settle on frame 60. Now using a combination of the various cloning brushes, paint the people off the road. Now as a reminder, the clean frame was created on frame 60. You need to remember this number as it will be required for the projection. If you've used Flame in the past, you no longer have to create a freeze frame with a mux node, as this is now taken care of by the projector in action. Now let's move along and perform the 3D track with camera analysis. Now that you have a clean frame, drag out an action node from the batch node bin and connect the original shot as the background. Create a new media input and connect your clean frame into the media node. When you go into action and look at the 2-up view with the action schematic and result view, the clean frame has been added as a surface object in the composite. Since the clean frame will be projected on another object at a later stage, just delete it for now. To set up for the 3D track, select your background in the media list and add a camera analysis node to the camera. Switch to the camera analysis media view by toggling F8. Now let's exclude the sky from the 3D track using the machine learning masking. Set the tracking resolution to 1 for the most accuracy. Now analyze the shot. With the camera analysis complete, you can validate this in the media view or switching to the camera analysis camera view to see the point cloud. If you need to refine the camera analysis, you can do that in the Refine menu, but things look pretty fine to me. Now toggle to the Camera Analysis Scene view to get a really good look at the point cloud. Moving around the scene, you should be able to make out the castle and the road. Now the next step is optional, but it will help with aligning the 3D composite. So firstly, select a bunch of points with Control that represent the ground. Holding Control will keep adding to your selection, and Control-Shift will remove from your selection. In the Refine menu, set the ground plane. This will orientate the camera to the original shooting angle, and the ground is now horizontal with the 3D composite. Let's move on to the various options you have for projection. Now you have two options to clean up your image using projection. The first one is using a flat surface object or 3D shape. So to place that object correctly in 3D space for the projection, you need to generate a scene tracker axis from the point cloud. The way you do this is to select points that represent the road in the shot. If you enable the test objects, the orientation might be off, but you can fix that shortly. If you switch back to the camera analysis camera view, you can validate the points you have chosen, as well as add or subtract points from the selection. Now create the Scene Tracker axis based on the selection. If you need to adjust the orientation, switch the manipulator mode to Object and adjust the selected axis's controls. The next step is to add a 3D surface to receive the projection. Go back to the result view and add a 3D shape to the selected axis. By doing that, when you draw the 3D shape, it automatically snaps and aligns to the orientation of the axis in 3D space. If you scrub the time bar, you can see that the 3D shape object is locked to the road. As an optional step, if you wanted the 3D shape and its incoming projection to have a smooth blend with the background, go to the G-mask controls and add some softness with an offset. To feed the G-mask softness into the 3D shape object, choose the 3D shape node and set the G-mask transparency to for 3D shape only. Now to add the projection, select the camera analysis node again. Now the clean frame was created on frame 60, and this is very important. Go to frame 60 in the composite, and under the Create Objects header, click Projector Freeze Frame. A new projector is created with a mimic link to the camera analysis. This means that the data from camera analysis is fed into the projector, which automatically lines up with the 3D track. Now, since camera analysis was using the back input as a tracking source, this has also been applied to the projector. This is why you don't see your clean frame. So right-click on the projector node and assign it to the clean frame. Now, as a tip, if you had chosen the wrong freeze frame for the projector, you can go into the projector settings, unfreeze the frame, go to the correct frame, and freeze it again. Really quick and easy. Finally, if you did use the optional steps to blend the 3D shape with the background, you will get a white halo along the softness gradient. This is the white of the 3D shape mixing with the projection. To remove this halo, go to the 3D Shapes Geometry menu and make the 3D shape totally transparent. Transparent 3D objects can still receive projections. So that looks really good. You can hide the grid of the tracking axis in its display menu at any time. So that's how to project a cleanup frame onto a flat surface or 3D shape. The second option to clean up your image is projecting onto point cloud geometry, which you will see in the next section. So we've returned to the point where the 3D track is complete and the ground plane has been defined within the 3D space. The second option to clean up your image is to generate geometry from the point cloud and project on that. Now, before going down the road of creating 3D geometry, you can also test the point cloud to see if geometry is a viable option. Go to the display menu and click Show Surface. This may take a bit of time depending on your system, but Flame previews the entire point cloud as a tessellated 3D geometry. You can move around the scene view and check that the basic shapes are formed, which would allow for a successful projection. As a tip, this tool also doubles up as a secondary validation tool when checking your 3D track. Now, you certainly don't want an entire geometry of the shot just to clean up a region of your image. And remember, this is only a preview. So turn off the Show Surface option and start choosing the points that will generate the geometry for the cleanup area of the shot. Holding Ctrl will keep adding to your selection, and Ctrl-Shift will remove from your selection. You can also switch to the Camera Analysis camera view and continue refining your selection of the points in the point cloud. Once you are happy with your selection, switch to the result view and generate the geometry using the Camera Analysis menu. This creates a 3D geometry based on the point cloud, and if you wanted, this geometry could be lit, textured, and even exported as an FBX to Maya or 3ds Max. The geometry is also synced with the 3D track, and now you're ready to add the projection. As mentioned earlier, your clean frame is on frame 60. So go to that frame and select the camera analysis. Click Projector Freeze Frame. A new projector is created with a mimic link to the camera analysis. This means that the data from camera analysis is fed into the projector, which automatically lines up with the 3D track. If you call up the projector's properties, you can see that this projector is frozen at frame 60, but the projector is referencing the background image used by camera analysis. So right-click on the projector node and assign it to the clean frame. Scrubbing the time bar, things should line up well. As some optional steps, if you wish to feather off the 3D geometry like we did with the 3D shape, hide the projector temporarily, and add a Gmask link to the selected axis of the geometry. Draw the area you wish to contain within the mask. Next, invert the mask and add some softness to feather it off. Now go ahead and unhide the projector. To remove the halo where the softness gradient is happening, select the geometry and make it totally transparent. Transparent geometry can still receive projections. So that's how to project a cleanup frame onto 3D geometry that was generated by the camera analysis point cloud. We hope you'll find this cleanup workflow helpful, whether you project on a flat 3D object or point cloud geometry. Please subscribe to the Flame Learning channel and click the bell to be notified for future videos. Comments, feedback and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated, and thanks for watching.